Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Howdy, everybody. Happy
Yo.
Thursday. There we go. What's up, everyone? It's May 29th. Coming to you live from Lake Worth Beach, Florida. In the Dancing Elephant Bookstore, Florida's #1 metaphysical, religious, spiritual bookstore. And joined by Mitch Kumstein here.
Thank you.
No, it's actually Mitch Kumstein.
It's
actually a unique dialect, Khazarian dialect of it's actually pronounced Kumstein. I know you guys want to say Kumstein, but it's Kumstein. So we got Mitch Kumstein, our resident Puerto Rican diplomat, homuncologist.
From the trash island itself. It's a very nice trash island, though.
And we're continuing our Thursday night series of talking about movies, TV shows that were either set or filmed in Florida. Okay? So that's last week, what did we do?
Let's get a sound check, bro. People are saying that they can't hear. Can you guys hear Longo or me clearly? Testicles. Make sure we got a good.
Hang on.
All right, cool. All right, just making sure. And Longo did change his fire smoke detector battery, so you won't be hearing the chirp anymore, unless you've already gotten used to it.
Can they say you?
That's what I saw earlier, but they say that they can hear both of us now. Someone said turn my mic off, so you can just turn mine off.
Turn off once. I think they're just fucking with you. All right, let's cut to the chase. We're talking about Ace Ventura, Pet Detective tonight. Whole bunch of gravy, whole lot of rabbit holes. I did not expect this movie to have so much esoteric symbolism, so much biblical allegory, and yeah. And of course, just the overt kind of plot of the movie's hilarious, potentially a what would the word be? Like a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm raped. Sorry. Desensitization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't gonna try that one.
Is that right? That's
Yeah.
a lot of syllables. Basically, like softening the blow. Making fun of transgenderism a little bit, but at the same time, perhaps normalizing it. Normalizing, that's an easier.
It's 94.
Easier way to put it. Yeah. Because what's interesting is they got an actual woman. Or do we know for sure? They got an actual woman to play a transgender woman. Biological male, according to the story. But there's going to be spoilers. Okay, spoiler alert. Of course, we're going to be talking about the whole movie. But Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, a favorite movie of mine growing up. My family was always watching it. It was kind of family, okay for the family, kind of not, just gritty enough to where you could still watch it as an adult. I'm not a huge Jim Carrey guy, but this one I think is his best. You know, another movie we did was Truman Show. Truman Show, not my favorite movie, right? And Juan, please remind me, what did we do last week?
We did part 2 of Scarface, didn't we?
Part
talked
2
about
yeah.
of the Zeppelins and
Thank you.
ancient air balloons.
So yeah, Scarface was a good one. We had to split that up into 2 parts. But tonight it's Ace Ventura. And Juan, what about you? You grew up watching this? What's your background with the movie?
I did, bro, and I was gonna ask you because I wouldn't say big Jim Carrey fan. I am a Jim Carrey fan, but do you prefer Jim Carrey or Adam Sandler? Because those were the main 2 when I was growing up that were known for putting out like funny movies, right? So Jim Carrey being there, and then obviously his later stuff took on a different tone, but also his career also took on a different tone where he's kind of, do you think he's in the club and pretends not to be in it, kind of calling it out? Or he, or is it in the club and he's actually a good guy? Because he kind of went, I wouldn't say downhill from, from this movie forward, because he did just do Sonic, which is a pretty big franchise. And it's weird he did, one of the main villains in there that wanted to essentially rule the world, the universe, whatever, a reality, if you will, with all these artifacts. But what do you think about him? Because he's been on like a few. Was it Jimmy Fallon's show that he did the weird thing where he's like, "Look, I'm exposing the Illuminati," or was it?
Yeah, he does the weird he does like weird shit like that, or he does this.
Yeah,
He did this a couple times, and then he went on the Norm Macdonald show, I believe, and he was talking about the claustrum and the Santa Claus, Tantra, Kundalini, chrism oil, ascending the oil up the spine, right? He was talking about all this stuff that he clearly took from Santos Bonacci. Like he'd been watching Santos Bonacci that week or something. So, it's kind of interesting that he's talking about a lot of that stuff in a somewhat mainstream setting. But personally, he just kind of always seemed very soul sucked to me. Like he just lost his essence. And
it was Jimmy Kimmel that he did it on.
To your point, right? To your point about your question, Adam Sandler or Jim Carrey, to me, this is like the difference. Jim Carrey had more of like a demonic jester spirit going on. Adam Sandler's more of like a 13-year-old like retard humor. It's like like baby humor, dumb baby humor. It's funny. A lot of the Adam Sandler stuff is funny. But Jim Carrey is more like a jester. So I like Jim Carrey a little more, I'd probably say. But shout out to Adam Sandler because he's a hometown hometown hero, I guess you could say, over here. He's not from Boca, but he spends a ton of his time in Boca Raton. So
yeah, I would agree with you on that. He's done The Mask. He was the Riddler in Batman, Sonic. He did that one movie, Count Olaf. And here's the thing about these people. You don't know if you can trust them or not because they are actors and they are essentially inviting spirits into themselves. Like that's how, when I interviewed Nick Cage's son, Weston Cage, he told me at times they had to like the way that Nick Cage puts it, it's a sort of shamanism. It's a sort of like method acting where they become this alternate ego or identity. And there's been times where he told me they had to bury like trinkets or something to get rid of this spirit that like attached themselves to, the actor. So how much of, the Illuminati stuff is trolling? Can you really trust it? Can you not? Because it's kind of like a double-bladed sword where they are an actor. So are they acting or are they not? But that also kind of puts you in a confused state of mind where you want to believe them, but at the same time you can't because they're actors. That's what they get paid for. That's what they do for a living, to convince people that they are other people, and what they're
Yeah.
saying in a movie is what's actually going on, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's a good point. And a lot of times, if just to look at the words actor, the the letter C can go soft in many languages. C can go soft, right? Like, what's a word? Cent, right? CENT,
Mm-hmm.
right? C can go soft. Actor shares an etymology with aster, which means star. That's why we call these people stars, right? Celebrities are stars, pop stars, rock stars. Actors are stars. Actors are asters. And that's why a movie is cast, right? So when I'm looking at a movie, I'm often looking at the astrology, the zodiac signs of the people involved. Because originally that's how Hollywood would cast their movies. And only people like Stanley Kubrick really kept that tradition alive. But you would originally cast your cast, casting a zodiac, casting a spell, right? So yeah.
And speaking of Zodiac, what is he? January 17th, 1962. What would he be? Does he fit his stereotype?
Yes, he is the Capricorn. He is the Capricorn archetype to a T, the quintessential Capricorn. He is comedy and tragedy. That's Capricorn. The two masks and the masks of an actor, right? So it's interesting. He plays the mask, the movie mask, the main character. And Capricorn, people often think of it as career, right? And that's true. Correct. Capricorn rules career and building, construction, carpentry, right? You see a shared etymology, carpentry, Capricorn, right? Jesus allegedly being born December 25th. We can debate that. I'm not saying that's the definitive birthday, but the popular believed birthday of Jesus, December 25th, that puts him as Capricorn. So it makes sense that he is called a carpenter, or at least the son of a carpenter, right? Capricorn, December 25th. And yes, we can disagree on his birthday, but there's something to that. And Capricorn being the fool, sorry, not the fool. Aries is more of the fool, right? Capricorn is often the jester or the clown. Capricorn is tragedy and comedy, those two overly exaggerated emotions on the masks. And they're often tragedy, and their relief is comedy, right? So their lives are often filled. Now, I'm not going to say filled with tragedy more than anyone else, but they tend to obsess over tragedy or have a tragic outlook on things. Jim Carrey is very much like that. Even when he's being funny, you can just see that there's kind of a pain or a despair behind his eyes. Like all he has, and he talks about this, that all he has is his character, that he feels empty without his characters. But
Has he had any deaths in the family though? Like, like how all these famous people usually have a death in the family before they blow up. Is there anything like that of him that you would know of?
I really don't know. Don't know much about him. We talked about his life a little bit when we went into the Truman Show, but
Because right, Hollywood. So you're talking about the stars. The holly tree isn't it the witch tree? I've heard that before. The wood of the witch tree. That's why it's Hollywood. And also, a lot of these actors are also comedians, which I think that the comedian archetype, in my opinion, I think that comedy nowadays is the new like occultist equivalent to like being an intelligence sort of thing, where now the comedians are an intelligence, and it's not that's what I think, bro. I think that a lot of these guys, like, look at Rogan, right? When you get that big, someone's got to be in your ear, like, we for a fact, right?
Let me jump in here and say, people in the comments are saying one of his girlfriends may have committed suicide,
Did she?
and people are saying one of either his mother or father might have passed too.
So personal life. Carrey suffers from depression and took Prozac to combat the symptoms for years. He later said he no longer takes medication of any kind and abstains from coffee, alcohol, and drugs. Maybe that's when he blew up on that. Was it Jimmy Kimmel? What year was that? Right,
Was
maybe
it
that's
Ken-
when he went off the rocker because he wasn't taking his meds.
Yeah. Who knows?
Wrongful death lawsuits. Carrey's girlfriend, Cathriona White, married Mark Burton in 2013 in Las Vegas. She and Carrey had been dating on and off since 2012 and was still married but dating Carrey when she died in 2015. On September 19, 2016, Burton filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Carrey, claiming that he had used his immense wealth and celebrity status to illegally obtain and distribute prescription drugs involved in White's death. Carrey released a statement the following day. Interesting. Because you know who else has a sort of similar girlfriend, went missing and also died? Keanu Reeves. Have you heard about that one before?
Yep, Ashton Kutcher too.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So again, I'm just saying that if we follow the conspiracy that these people make deals with the devil, whatever it is, it's like, oh look, they sacrificed Kanye West sacrificed his mom, right? She went in for some dental cleaning or something or other, and just went out that way, some simple procedure that would have otherwise not been dangerous. And the list goes on and on, right? There's various other actors and musicians and all these other people who have lost family, and then usually that's when their career takes off, right? In this case, I mean, this is 2013. He'd already been around for a long time, so uh-oh. Is he kind of is Carrey kind of based, bro? Like,
Yeah. He questioned the Maxine.
all right, here, political and spiritual views, an outspoken advocate of the law of attraction. An interview with Oprah Winfrey on February 17, 1997, he revealed that as a struggling actor, he would use visualization techniques to get work, which I mean, that kind of sort of stuff, I think it works, right? That's magic, right? You're putting yourself in that state of mind to get the job done, get the work done. He also stated that he visualized a $10 million check given to him for acting services rendered, placed the check in his pocket, and 7 years later, he received a $10 million check for his role in Dumb and Dumber, which all these movies, Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, and what was the other one? There was another one that came out in 94. He was like boom, 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 boom. He was just putting out movie after movie after movie, and he was real big.
Yeah.
Practices transcendental meditation, has also advocated socialism, and has urged the Democratic Party to embrace the movement, saying, we have to say yes to socialism, to the word and everything. We have to stop apologizing. What year was that? 2018. All right, so he's kind of in the woo-woo a little bit, right?
Yeah, he was involved with the project where I don't know if it ever got completed, but he was supposed to play Terrence McKenna in like a
You told me that.
documentary or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know if that ever happened, but so he's a little bit into mushrooms for sure.
100%. So it falls in line how you said with the pain, and usually the funny people are the ones that, right? That's their outlet for the depression or whatever it is. They do comedy, and a lot of people say that comedy comes from a place of hurt.
He also does Bruce Almighty, as people are saying in the comments, where
yes,
always kind of close to these big concepts or topics. He was almost like the Illuminati's favorite actor for a period of time, right? Tackling all these biggest topics like Bruce Almighty. What if you were God for a week or whatever the movie's about? Now, that's enough setup here. Let's just go through the movie from front to end. And I've got some notes here. I think Juan's got some notes too. Let's start off with the beginning, Juan, with the dog kidnapping.
Yeah, and I did see the room number. People were pointing it out too.
Yep.
Which
Yeah,
I don't know if that has any significance. I mean, is that significant at all? I mean, 311, right? 333.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll get to it. Go a little bit further back. Okay.
Right here.
All right. Yeah.
Oh.
Start
Yeah.
skipping through a little bit.
There we go. Oh.
So yeah, you can stop it at the 311 on the door.
All right, so he just comes in with just messing up a package, which obviously was a decoy to get. Which honestly, he's good at his job, right? Like he's kind of autistic in a sort of way where you go, this guy is not normal. Everyone else around him notices that he's not normal. But he like brings out this. He's a vibe, right? How they say he's like a, he's a weird person, and he does this job and he does it good. For as much of like a fuck up you want him to be, he's good. He connects all the dots, and his mind is working.
His house looks nice too. His house is well organized and
clean.
They didn't make his place a dump, but yeah, he's just eccentric. He's an eccentric fellow. So the plot of the movie is Jim Carrey is Ace Ventura. He's a pet detective. So he's a private detective, like a private eye type thing, where he specializes in finding pets. And the movie starts off with him finding like a little mini foo-foo dog that was stolen, right? Or separated from its owner, and they paid to get her back. So he goes up disguised as a delivery driver to the door of this scoundrel, right? This rough looking guy. And he swaps the dog out for a toy, takes the dog, and books it. But as you see on the door there, what's the number on the door? 311. What does 311 mean? Well, to some people, the first thing they hear in their head is, whoa, amber is the color of your energy.
What?
That song? Okay.
Never heard it.
No?
No.
All right. Yeah, terrible band. Terrible. 311, the band. They suck. Amber,
is that an actual band, 311?
Yep. And they have a song called Amber. And guess what, people? Amber plays a big, big part in this movie. Yeah, we should have had that on the soundboard. Fuck 311. They suck.
Never heard him. Maybe if I hear like a clip of the song, maybe I might recognize it. But 51st Dates, yeah.
By 311. Oh, okay.
With all, you know who.
So 311. Forget about the band. Just put them to the side right now. Yeah, 311 sucks. They suck. They're terrible. The rap, reggae, metal, they suck. Go listen to Anal Cunt's song. 311 sucks.
What?
You heard me right.
All these all these names, dude. Yeah. A grindcore? Is it a grindcore band?
Yeah, kind of. They're like a joke band a little bit. Yeah. Doesn't matter. We got 311. Forget about the band. You got 311 on the door. Now, what does that mean? Especially in a place like Florida? Could be a random number, but bear with me here. I hope you guys are stretched up a little bit. We're going to be doing some stretching tonight, as always. Limber up. 311, like Juan said, 3 times 11 is 33. Not only that, 3 11s are K, K, K. Because K is the 11th letter of the alphabet. 11, 11, 11 is K, K, K.
Illuminati confirmed.
3 times 11 is 33, right? Now, there's not much else to say about it right now, but I could link that to the KGC and the whole fast food conspiracy with KFC coming out of, being influenced by the KKK, the whole white and red color scheme. Everything, fast food comes up a little bit later, so we'll get to it in a sec. But 311 has a whole lot of meaning. Now, according to the band 311, that means it's like the police code for indecent exposure or something like that. But that's all there is to say about it right now. But anything else about 311 you want to add, Juan?
No, I didn't catch it till I was playing it back just now and saw the 311.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, also, Jim Carrey's initials are JC. So that might be a reason why they like to use him in these certain roles. But okay, let's keep moving forward. You can kind of skip through the fight and everything. This guy tries to get his dog back. He gets away. But okay, it's a Shih Tzu. Yeah.
And then we cut to probably the whole plot, the whole reason behind the movie where
Now,
they steal.
Yes. Well, here, wait for a sec. Did you know that dog theft is a real problem in South Florida? People, grabbing little Shih Tzus, little foo-foo dogs off the street and selling them on the black market. You know about this?
No.
You didn't know about this?
No.
It's a real thing. Let me pull up a screen here.
That's pretty wild.
French bulldogs. Just this year, 2 men were arrested for stealing a French bulldog from a driveway, with the theft caught on surveillance video and the dog later recovered. Southwest Miami. A family lost their French bulldog, Lola, after a strange car pulled up to their driveway and she was taken in a matter of seconds. Princeton. 3 more French bulldogs. Hialeah, a small dog. Golden Glades, a micro bulldog. Boca
Usually
Raton.
those dogs are expensive though, like the weird breeded ones that the bullies or whatever. Those are like pretty expensive. Even French bulldogs, I mean, what they go for like at least $3,000, at least, right? $3,000, $4,000. So it would make sense.
We got to watch at least dog theft. Florida.
Yeah, that's why people put chips in them. Yeah, people are putting chips in their dogs nowadays, so it would be a lot harder. But how you said, it's a black market, so they could just get rid of it somewhere else that's not going to be tracked. Yeah, and French bulldogs have like a lot of health issues too because they're so inbred. I had a English bulldog for a long time too. They have all types of issues.
Can you hear this?
No, I can't hear it. You have to share the tab sound. There you go. Got it.
Caught on camera. The alleged theft of 3 French bulldogs from a Princeton home last week.
So then I came like as fast as I could, but by the time I got here, it was already, they were gone.
Resident Juan Galindo says it was a mother and 2 of her puppies, just 4 months old. He says the dogs are like family. In the more than 2 years that Galindo and his family have had the older dog, he says she's been stolen twice.
We didn't report it because we
Twice.
didn't have cameras, we didn't have phone. Like our gate wasn't even locked.
It's time to let that dog go, bro.
35 exclusive, a dog napping caught on camera in Lake Nona. A masked man breaks into a home and then steals that pure breed pet.
Fox 35's Valerie Boy is investigating a nationwide increase in pet thefts and has more on what you can do to protect your dog.
The fact that they went into my house.
Now, yeah, guys, half of this is black market. Hey, that's a valuable dog. We can make some money off that.
Mm-hmm.
The other half is voodoo, hoodoo, Santeria. What are the other ones are?
Yeah,
that's real too.
That's dark, dude. That got dark real quick.
That's real too. Yeah, they call that the fuck. What's
Yeah, because every now and again, I'm pretty sure you've seen it. They find decapitated dogs just thrown around. I've seen a few stories like that where they find a dog's body, the head is missing at least 2 or 3 times. I've seen that. So what you're saying also makes sense, and that's crazy.
Yep, they call that a Haitian special when they do that.
They eat them too, right? They eat the cat.
Yeah.
Was that in Florida or was that another state? That was in Florida, wasn't it?
Yep. Well, there was a lot of Haitian immigrants sent to like Ohio or something. But yeah, it happens in Florida. I've been to a voodoo graveyard, boneyard. It's a sacrificial site in Miami.
Is that where your that one girl you were dating took you or whatever?
Yep.
Yikes.
That's made it more, upsetting. And then they took my dog.
The search continues for 1.5-year-old Oscar. Cesar Chavera says someone broke into his Lake Nona home and took the purebred Australian Shepherd.
They actually can be high-priced dogs. They can go upwards of $5,000.
Brandy Hunter Munden of the American Kennel Club says Australian Shepherd dogs have become more popular.
How common is this?
Unfortunately, pet theft is extremely common. Pet theft with violence and property damage is not as common. However, we are seeing a prevalence.
She tells us the demand is high, but supply is low for this breed.
A lot of people stay on wait lists very long, and that's an opportunity for thieves.
People seem to go after the little dogs.
Judy Cirillo runs Pet Rescue by Judy. She says it's not just high-priced dogs. Even small dogs are being targeted.
If they're not fixed, they're going to use them for breeding, and they're going to put them in research labs and make money. They'll ship them out of state.
Brandy says there's been a few high-profile dog theft cases.
You've had.
All right, you guys get the idea.
That's wild, dude. I didn't even know.
Yeah, it's a real thing, especially in Florida. It's a huge, huge problem. All these old ladies walking their dogs and stuff. People just pull up on them. It happens.
If it ain't the dog, it's the gator, right? Like if it ain't another person, it's a gator that takes them. Have you seen those videos too? Like an old lady walking her little chihuahua around a lake or a pond in Florida gets taken by a gator.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I can imagine a person if
Otters,
the gator
too.
takes their what? Otters
Will tear up a dog too.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Otters.
They're so cute though.
Yeah, they're pretty nice with humans, but they hate dogs, and they will drag a dog into a lake and drown it.
Is this why cats are better?
I don't know. But yeah, I know that. Growing up in my neighborhood, there were multiple dogs that got killed by otters.
Wow, dude.
Yeah,
it strangles them because you know how like they hug each other and shit. So you just strangle it.
Yeah, well, dogs often jump into the water like foolishly after.
Yeah, they're autistic. Yeah,
and otters, they're in gangs, right? So 2 of them gang up on you, you're toast. If you're a dog, but yeah, otters are nice. They're generally really docile around people, especially in Florida, but to dogs, they can be vicious.
Check out this comment. Otters got out of an enclosure at a zoo, broke into the monkey area, and tore the monkeys apart. What?
Yeah, they're like ferrets, dude. They're like weasels or ferrets. They're like bloodthirsty. They can be vicious.
Dude. No one is safe out here.
Yeah,
I thought like otters are like super cute. I've seen them before. They hold their little hands when they're laying, in the water, floating around so they don't float away from each other. And here they are. They're just bloodthirsty, vicious, freaking dog murderers, monkey murderers.
Let me pull that up too, since people are doubting it.
Otter gangs are scary. You imagine, dude, just walking alone at night. What do you call a group of otters? Does that have a name?
I think a clan.
No, group of otters name. A romp, a family, or a romp.
Hmm.
A bevy, a family, a lodge, a romp, or a raft.
Here, let's watch this since people are doubting it.
Never did I think.
Couple is sounding the alarm after otters attacked their beloved dog. Peter Bernard is on the night beat for us in St. Petersburg. Peter, what a story.
Yeah,
In St. Pete.
Happened early Easter morning at the home that overlooks Boca Ciega Bay. They heard a blood-curdling sound and found their dog severely injured. It's a home with $1 million view. Marilyn and Jack Freeman moved here 40 years ago, drawn by the peace and serenity of the lapping waters. But all that came to a crashing halt.
My grandson came screaming. I mean, it affected him so terribly. He was just crying and screaming.
Yeah, all right. You guys get the point. Not really related, but
no, the more you know, dude. I know that.
Yep. It's true. They're vicious. Now, let's get back into the movie. So there's the scene with stealing the dog back. That's all done. But what's interesting is, did we skip the part where he goes to the girlfriend where he gives the dog back, or is that later?
No, we skipped it. She sucks him off or whatever.
We skipped it. Okay. So yeah, we'll just pause there. We don't see anything too much, but just pause it on where we can see her, what she looks like. Hell yeah. There we go. Right there we go. Right.
Hell yeah, brother.
So he gets paid in sex. Okay. So just in the movie, when you watch the movie, it's easy to think he's a great guy. But if you zoom out a little bit, he's really like a piece of shit. He gets paid in sex. He makes out with the trans his boss.
But it's not him, dude. It's his aura, dude. It's his persona. Like he's so stupid that people are gravitated towards him, because even one of the main characters, she's an attractive young lady right this time.
Yeah.
And she even gravitated towards him because it's just the way he is. Right? He just draws him in.
Well, he gets paid in sex. Now, before that, when he bests the guy, the trailer trash guy at the motel, and takes the dog back, he drops one of his kind of signature punchlines, which is "Lahoo's a her." Lahoo's a her. Do you catch maybe a closeness to the word Lucifer?
Oh God.
Am I stretching that or what?
I mean,
Lahu Zahur. He says it a bunch of times.
Yeah, like Lil Uzi Vert is Lucifer.
Exactly. Yeah, just like that. Intentionally making it close. Not too obvious, but close. So, loser. He says that a lot.
Stretch Armstrong.
That's me. Now, he gets paid in sex, which is funny, but then we see kind of the main, what really kind of sends the movie into a full swing is the next scene when we see the Dolphin mascot for the Miami Dolphins, Snowflake, getting abducted from his, I think it's a he, from his tank in Miami. Snowflake, the beloved dolphin of Miami. Kidnapped, right? Dolphin napped. Now, what's interesting is there's also a dolphin black market in Florida. There's also a dolphin black market in Florida. Now, that's not the direction that the movie goes with it. This dolphin's being held hostage for a very particular reason. But dolphin.
And to be clear, the Miami Dolphins don't have an actual dolphin as a mascot, right? Like, obviously their mascot is a dolphin, but they don't have an actual dolphin in captivity.
I think they used to.
Well, we got 645 in the chat. If you want to give a little breakdown as to what we've talked about so far, for the people just joining in.
I'm checking this shit. Yeah, Flipper. They had a real dolphin named Flipper.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah. Yeah. So this movie is kind of, semi real life. Right. Now, it goes without saying this movie's set and filmed in Florida, in Miami. But in particular, a couple very interesting locations that have a lot to do with my channel. Or at least, I've covered them a lot on my channel. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of interesting stuff. If you're just tuning in now, this is a continuation of our Thursday night series where we're covering movies set or filmed in Florida. Last week we did Scarface, Part 2. This week it's Ace Ventura. But, yeah. I want to say that I've got a little YouTube video here that we can play.
That's crazy, dude. They had an actual dolphin. Here, I was thinking it was making.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, the Dolphins had a real dolphin, but dolphin theft and the dolphin black market is a real thing in Florida. Florida is very protective over its protected species, right? Not to be redundant, but now that's not the direction this movie goes, right? Like I said, this movie's the Dolphins kidnapped for revenge against the team, not to be sold, right? But let's move along a little bit on here. The next scene, we see, oh yeah, Surfside, go to the left. Go to the left. Or sorry, go backwards. Yeah, Surfside right there, just right there. Now that's Surfside, Florida, which is a town on the coast, right on the beach in Miami. Let me look at the map here.
By the way, there are also dolphins in the Talmud.
Are there?
Yeah, I guess they wear dolphin skins. But it's interesting because dolphin also is representative of Jesus Christ. So
now what else is Surfside famous for?
Oh,
Surfside, the neighborhood in Miami, suburb of Miami, right on the beach, is kind of most famous recently for being the place where that building collapsed. And there's a whole lot of conspiracies revolving that building collapse. Some people say that it was a controlled demolition, a planted explosive device.
Of course.
Some people say John McAfee had a apartment there.
Mm-hmm.
But what is known for sure is that when the collapse happened, and it was a tragedy, for a lot of people who were there, regardless of what happened, it was a tragedy. Guess what country provided military level support and aid and rescue resources?
No.
Can you guess?
I'm gonna take a wild Israel.
Yep.
Oh shit! Really?
Yep. And that has to do with the largely Jezilian population of that area. But here, let's see if they. Okay, yeah, here, watch. Rescue and relief. More than 80 rescue units responded. Keep going, keep going. Governor DeSantis, declared an emergency, or the mayor did. Ron DeSantis made it a state emergency. FEMA came, okay? Urban search and rescue, right? But then what else?
Move us over.
Remember?
There you go.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I did that.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Members of the Hatzalah of South Florida, a Jewish faith-based ambulance service, okay, whatever. Israel offered clothes, medication, food, water, and all that. And a according to Israeli Consul General Meir Elbaz Starinsky, who came to the scene and conveyed an official offer from the Israeli government to send the Israeli Defense Forces Home Front Command search and rescue team to assist in the rescue efforts. Oh, that place that John McAfee might have had some hard drives saved. Oh yeah, let's let that Israeli really
It's some massage shit right there, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, allegedly, we don't know for sure. We're just going off the Wikipedia here, kind of. But yeah. No, look, they assisted in all this other stuff. How nice of them.
Huh.
And again, it's a tragedy, but what exactly do they have to do with South Florida? Can't South Florida handle their own tragedies? You know, it's not like we got hit with a 7.0 earthquake and like the whole state got taken out. And, you know, we need all the help we can get. This is like, you know, a tragedy, but a very local, small scale tragedy.
Jude Team 6 and Rescue Team Dreidel.
Solomon's Seal Team 6.
Yeah.
Seal of Solomon Team 6. Or Seal.
And let me get this right. Is this true that there are Jewish only ambulances in the US? Is that true?
They're not Jewish only, but they're kind of limited to Jewish areas.
Okay.
And you'd definitely be out of place and perhaps overcharged if you.
Yeah.
I don't think they deny anyone service, but I don't think they'll go looking for you if you're outside of their neighborhood.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Who knows? We love everyone here in Oldwood, Florida. We love everyone no matter what. Palestine. Guys, free Israel. Free Palestine and free Israel. Free Israel. Free Israel.
So speaking of Brazilian.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let me it's interesting, right? So Surfside, which it looked familiar, and there's another one in Tampa right now, bro, that is like imminent collapse. I don't know if you saw the news. It was somewhere off the main boulevard in St. Peter, Tampa, where there is another apartment complex that's about to collapse, and they had to evacuate everybody. It was a whole thing. But it's interesting that,
dude, look at them searching through the rubble for the hard drive.
No, that's
you can't make
the
this
shekels,
shit up.
bro.
Stop, dude. He's got a fucking.
Let's not.
Okay,
No, that's not
know,
make fun, dude.
I know they're I know they're looking. I know they're probably looking for deceased people, but bro, he's got
to put them in a fucking Home Depot bucket.
He's got the dust. What do they call it? Dust bunny.
All right, listen, dude. So check this out. So
no, not a dust bunny. What do they call that? What do they call it? Dust, little handheld vacuum.
Yeah, a shop vac.
Dustbuster. He's got the little dustbuster looking
Listen.
for John McAfee's
files. So
he's looking for the PDF files that are all right.
It's interesting you brought this up,
teasing.
right? This here real quick. Hold on. That because I didn't know that. I didn't know that part about that operation. Like I did not know. But it's interesting because Surfside,
damn,
right?
Yo, Mossad bot. Yo, Juan, you got a Mossad bot confirmed.
Is that me?
Yeah, Mossad bot confirmed.
Yeah, we are. We're talking about Ace Ventura. Just settle down. Listen, so it's interesting. The Surfside slum lord is this guy. Is played by this guy. Which
yes, who was in Scarface, right?
Who was in no. What? Oh, he was in Scarface. Yeah, he was
the assassin in Scarface.
Yes, and also I forget the dude's name in Ace Ventura. Let's see here. But of course, he was Brazilian, right? So there's that.
Yes.
He's also in Breaking Bad.
Brazilian actor.
Oh, he's in Pet Detective, but it's not that one. His name is Where the hell is it? It was 94. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Mr.
Chicken Dance.
Chicken
Yeah,
Dance. No, he called him that, but it was a different name.
No, that's his name in this.
That's his name.
Yeah, in this movie, Mr. Chickadance. He calls him Satan later on.
Yeah.
Let's get to that. I want to just kind of flip through that scene. Let's go back to the movie. Flip through that scene.
It's all adding up, dude.
We're at his apartment. We see he lives in a very like lush Miami Beach apartment thing. Now, it's very lush on the outside. And just keep skipping through. Okay, he goes to his apartment. His landlord's really tough on him and is saying, hey, you owe me rent. Right? And he's like, I don't got it. I don't have much money. Now, he could have just gotten money, but he took sex. He took sex instead. Right? So he doesn't have the money for the last job he just did. And he needs to pay his rent. His landlord, right? Very tough on him. And his landlord accuses him of having animals in his apartment. And luckily, all of his animals are so well trained, they all hide. But when he gets in, the coast is clear. They all come out. And you can't help but think of the Garden of Eden.
God,
right, Juan? The Garden of Eden in Florida. This is set in Miami. You see all these animals, parrots especially. Lots of parrots, macaws. He pretty much can speak to the animals.
Yeah.
Would you say that's fair? Right? He can communicate, or he understands the animals. He says he understands them. Now that's another reference to the Garden of Eden. In the Garden of Eden, it's believed that Adam and Eve had this kind of they could speak to the animals without speaking, or they spoke the language of the animals. In Christian theology, in some esoteric circles, this is called the language of the birds. And I recently found out that's what I do a lot by using puns in English.
The green language, yep.
The green language, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo. Juan knows his stuff. The language of the birds, in modern times, it has more to do with the usage of puns to decode ancient concepts in different languages from around the world and whatever. But originally, the name of that system is referencing the relationship that Adam and Eve had with the animals in the Garden of Eden, where the language of the birds is also kind of a reference to parrots have always been a symbol for paradise. Do you see the word parrot in the word paradise? Garden of Eden being a paradise. Almost every great depiction of the Garden of Eden has parrots in it. And why is that? Parrots, many early Christians and Jewish Kabbalists and mystics, early Christian mystics, they believed that Adam and Eve, like I said, could speak to the animals. But when Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, it was only the parrot who kept a little bit of this relationship alive. So the parrot was either believed to be God forgot to scramble the language between the parrot and the human, or the parrot represents the relationship. Simply, the fact that it can speak a little represents the fact that we used to be able to speak a lot with these other animals. So that's why you see the word parrot in the word paradise. And even that doing that right there, saying, oh, parrot sounds like paradise, that connection is only valid in this system or this mode of thinking, the language of the birds, the green language.
Phonetic Kabbalah, yeah.
And you see all these birds who can do it's not just parrots, they're ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Crows can talk a little. Mockingbirds can mimic some human sounds. And there's a lot of talking birds. So parrots have always been used to represent the Garden of Eden. They've always been a staple of depictions of the Garden of Eden. And you see parrots here. But also the pigeon. The pigeon doesn't necessarily speak its messages, but it brings messages.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another, that's going to be another kind of constant theme in this movie, or recurring theme, recurring plot line in this movie, is that he's chasing a pigeon. Kind
A
of
white one.
A white, yeah. Special pigeon. Kind of almost like a dove, pigeon's dove. Really, really close, but.
And also, right, the pigeon, and it's either a raven or a crow in the story of Genesis that Noah sends out to see if the floods have gone down or not. Right.
Yeah.
And that's also another symbol in alchemy. And as you see here, right, the language of the birds. Fulcanelli also talked about it. And maybe that's why angels have like bird wings, right? They have, when we think of an angel, we think of bird wings. I mean, it might be something else, but maybe that has something to do with what you're saying, this language of the birds. And dude, some birds are super, super smart. Like I've connected with some birds that are like, it feels like a human, like a human being. I don't know if it's just repeating sounds it hears, but a lot of birds are super smart. Like they're like intelligence,
Yeah. Yeah, birds can spread the word across town about you. If you're nice to one bird, other birds on the other side of town who've never met you will know who you are based off your reputation.
With the birds,
you'll have a reputation, amongst the birds. So Jim Carrey in this movie, he can communicate with animals, or at least understands animals on a very deep level, almost bordering on like a supernatural ability, right? And you can kind of say that's like the language of the birds, or Adamic language, right? This is also related to Enochian a little bit. And this is all big stretch, right? Big stretch. Well, we just saw 311 on the motel room. And Jim Carrey, if I'm not mistaken, is in a movie that's based off of going full schizo on numbers.
23.
So Jim Carrey is not, this is not a random association, especially when we're talking Jim Carrey. But let's rewind a little bit and look at the Garden of Eden thing again a little bit. All these animals, he's one with the animals, in harmony with the animals, right? They depend on him, they love him. He sings to them, he talks to them, right? Can you go back a little bit, Juan? Skip a little bit to back when he plucks the leaf off, plucks the palm frond off. Now I'm going to
also
put
had an 8-ball on the keychain. I don't know if that has any significance, right?
I don't know. I'm going to put forward, yeah, right here. Yeah, pause. Thanks. I'm going to put forward the theory that this is right here, this sequence, this scene is an allegory, or a reverse allegory. It's a reference to the Garden of Eden. Jim Carrey, JC, just sinned and took money instead of the payment for his services. Now, in shame of not having the money for rent, to pay rent in the Garden of Eden, he then plucks a leaf, like Adam taking the fig leaf, to cover himself because he was ashamed of his nakedness. Nakedness meaning sin, as one of our caller last night was explaining. Nakedness is like, were they butt naked or were they naked in sin? They felt like bare, like they had to hide what they'd done. Jim Carrey just had sex. Ace Ventura just had sex. Received received sex for payment. Is ashamed because he doesn't have money, and ashamed of what he did, and then has to hide himself within a leaf, much like Adam did in the Garden of Eden. Now, bear with me here. Is that a stretch? Well, let's just see what they talk about. Fast forward a little bit, Juan, please. Back to when the landlord is shaking him down. He says, "Mr. Ventura." And Ace turns around and says, or he doesn't turn around yet. He goes, "Yes, Satan." Satan. Now, I was thinking, well, this guy is like almost God. You know, he's almost like a Gnostic demiurge God, where, you know, Jim Carrey lives in the Garden of Eden with all these animals, but God is banging on the door saying, "Where's my rent? Where's my rent?" You know, he's disrupting the harmony. There's a little bit of Gnostic coding to this, right? Looking at God as the angry landlord, looking at God as Satan. You know, that's a bit of a Gnostic concept. But I think that's a valid parallel here in the Garden.
He tries to trick God too, right? Like he tries to trick, or he's trying to trick not God, because that's Satan, by her saying very Gnostic, by hiding behind a friggin' bush leaf or whatever it is, a palm leaf, to try and get to his apartment like he wouldn't notice. Which, you know, tricking God is the specialty of a certain group of people as well, or where they try to find loopholes in the text and the laws that have been set forth, right? Which I always find hilarious, because if he is God and he is all powerful, he's gonna see through your bullshit, right? He's gonna see what you're doing. It's very obvious. He's the slumlord,
yeah. Yeah, good point. Now, this guy gives him, you know, a stern talking to, but Jim Carrey, you know, kind of weasels his way out of it and says, "I'll get it to you later, you know, once this job comes."
He shows him the bird, I think. He shows him the bird.
Yeah.
The dove, the white bird.
Exactly.
For 25,000. So he gives him the bird in another sense, right? Like,
yeah.
Once
now,
I get it.
The landlord, is he Satan or is he God? You know, good comment there. I said Satan is the Lord of this world. That's true too, yeah. But okay. So, you know, go watch that scene for yourself, see what you guys think. But that jumped out.
There you go, right there.
Albino pigeon, $25,000 reward. Yeah, let's keep going. Go to next scene. Skip.
All right, we're only 10 minutes in, brother, and this is an hour and a half movie, so we're an hour into the stream.
Well, we might have to split it up into two parts or whatever. So we've got here, they are looking for the dolphin. The dolphin went missing. They have an emergency meeting. This guy's like, "You guys need to find him or you're fired." Right. And then he mentions that all the players are superstitious. So I was almost going to put in the title Dolphin Magic, or like voodoo, revenge voodoo, or, you know, taking the dolphin was like a morale thing to kind of make the team
lose the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. Lose spirit. So they address the superstition that many football players have. And then they talk about like animal rights organizations, try blaming it on like PETA and them. And then they make another reference to the Garden of Eden, kind of saying all this bullshit about animals being, quote unquote, born free, right? He scoffs at the idea of animals being born free. And he calls the dolphin a fish, right?
Yeah.
It's like very disrespectful guy. But okay. So he puts a flame under their feet and says, "Hey, go find the dolphin, or else you're fired." Well, one of these like ladies, receptionist, says, "What about Ace Ventura? You know, he helped me find my dog. You should see if he'll help find the dolphin." So that's where Ace Ventura comes into finding the dolphin for the Miami Dolphins. We see him in close pursuit of the albino pigeon, but it gets away. So keep skipping. Skip to, the part where he says,
he's eating the seeds. He's like, oh no, I don't smoke. That's a nasty habit. He's got the fucking seeds on it.
At one point, he gives a devil horn hand symbol, really clear.
Where at, in the office?
Yes, no, somewhere around here. I have it written in my notes. I forget when. Oh, right here, I think it is.
Maybe before he jumps into the thing.
Yeah, whatever. It's somewhere there. So he jumps into the tank and he finds a crystal. He finds a little stone in the tank. And we don't find out what that is yet. But we'll get to that. He finds a little stone in the filter. Yeah, in the filter for the tank. So keep that stone in mind. Little crystal. Now he goes to the police station. They're making fun of him. He gets in a confrontation. Gets in a little bit of a scuffle with this fat loser, Sopranos looking guy. Now, also Ventura apparently means fortune or luck.
Really?
Yeah. Now he does this, right? This is a famous Ace Ventura
I must
thing.
ask you a question.
He talks out of his ass, right? Let me ask you a question. Now that's kind of like a double joke because he's talking to a black guy. It's like, hey man, let me ask you a question real quick. I'm finna ask you a question. You ever hear someone say that? Ask you a question.
No.
All right, whatever. Well, he starts talking out of his ass, right? Well, Juan, you want to phone up your friends, Mind Unveiled, and ask them what they have to say about ass talking and
I didn't watch that video.
flatulists?
I watched that video. Can you give me the TLDR?
Let me look up.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I searched Mind Unveiled, and the first result is farting. Yeah, what a legacy. Watch. How funny is that? You search Mind Unveiled? Dude. Can you see my search results?
Yeah.
So yeah. Mind Unveiled's got a whole thing about this.
What does he say about it?
Fart magic, about how like the royal courts always had a flatulist, and about how I think that I haven't watched. I can't stand watching this type of content. It's just like brain rot to the max. But whatever. If it's his thing, then whatever.
How many views does that video have?
Like 77,000. And then I think they make the claim or play around with the claim that like humans didn't even have buttholes until like a couple hundred years ago. Some like BS, I don't know. Some stupid shit. But flatulist, fart wars, the lost art of the flatulist, fart magic, bruh. Do you have that on the soundboard?
What?
Bruh.
Yeah, I do actually.
Bruh. Let me read it. Mind Unveiled. Farting Unveiled. The lost art of the flatulist. Wow. Fart magic. And Fart wars.
You reach too, though, no? I mean, he did a whole video on it. I'm sure it's good. I just haven't watched it.
This is more than a reach, bro. This is a reach around, dude.
I'm sure it's good. I'm sure he's got his. He wouldn't have made a whole video on it if it wasn't like something. You know what I'm saying? Like
you can pump out No, yeah, dude, I could pump out an AI generated fart video in like 20 minutes. It'd be easy. All right, let's move on. But hey, we're shouting them out. If you're into the whole fart thing, Mind Unveiled's your channel. Okay, Mind Unveiled's your channel. But he's talking out of his ass. Yeah, Mind Unveiled. They talk about like people who had special abilities and like weird abilities and all this stuff. But yeah, Mind Unveiled. God bless him. He's got some good videos, but
Tartarian farts. Yeah, is that like the whole thing? Tartarian
yeah.
buildings didn't have toilets or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's what put him on that. Vein. But so yeah, Jim Carrey's talking out of his ass. People always like impersonate this, but keep moving along. The boss comes in, who later we find out is not as much of a woman as we think in the beginning, but they make her very tall in the movie. Jim Carrey's a pretty tall guy. He's over 6 foot. And this chick, when the boss stands next to him, she's probably in high heels. She's like a little bit taller than him. And that should tell us something in the beginning. But they all act like she's smoking hot. Like everyone wants to bang her. Everyone acts like she's the hottest thing on earth, right?
Check out this comment right here. I was the second gunman on the grassy knoll. Like he says that mad random.
Yes. He says that too. He says, first when he sees her, he goes, my, is a testicle Tuesday. Or something like that. He says, testicle Tuesday. Now that's kind of foreshadowing what's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who she's revealed to be. But yeah, she's like, what are you doing here? And he goes, well, I've got a confession to make. I was the second gunman on the grassy knoll. I don't know. Who knows? Heck of a thing to say. But what else does he say? He says, in this scene, he goes, that's what turns me on about you, your attention to detail. Attention to detail. Keep that in mind. Because on my channel, Playing with Words, I've pointed out how detail is detail. Attention to detail is attention to the tail, to the rear end, right? Attention to detail, that's why it's called detail is analysis, right? Look at that word a little bit. Analysis, detail. Get to the root of something, right? There's a little bit of like how do you put this? There's an association with butt words and like detail or detective work.
You're being anal about something, you know?
Yeah, this goes back to the sign Scorpio. Scorpio. Like the word assassin, right? Ass, in. All these butt words go back to Scorpio. Detail, analysis, assassin, all Scorpio words. Scorpio rules the rear end, right? Where the sun doesn't shine, the darkest time of night, the darkest time of the year, or one of the darkest times of the year. That is Scorpio. Now, believe it or not,
it's good to tan your asshole, right?
Yeah, every once in a while.
It's like beneficial for you.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to go your whole life with it, never. Did
we lose you? Uh-oh. Masad didn't like the ass talk, bro.
Yeah.
You with us?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, because the root chakra, right? It's the sacral, that's like the sac area, right? Like that's around the gooch area. That's your sacral chakra.
No, the root is in your rear end. The root is at the base of the tailbone. Your perineum. The perennial philosophy.
That's the gooch, right? Perineum.
Yeah. Now the sacral chakra is connected to the sex organs that you pee out of. So
Okay.
Sacral chakra has this more fluid energy to it, and it's
Definitely.
different chakra, but they are both connected to sexuality. The root is more passion or like lust, like raw lust, masculine lust. The sacral chakra is more romantic and passion too, but like more romantic. Can be lustful too, but less of a masculine force, a little bit more of a feminine force in the sacral chakra. But okay, regardless, why am I talking about Scorpio? Well, speaking of casting and roles, Scorpio makes one of the best villains. And her name is Mary Sean Young. Mary Sean Young. Now we're going to be going back to Mary Sean Young. Mary Sean Young, not only is she the boss, the transgender. I spoiled it. We're going to find out she's transgender in the movie. Not only is she the transgender boss, lead detective or lead police captain in Ace Ventura, she also plays a robotic love interest in the Blade Runner. She's the robot that Harrison Ford falls in love with. Pretty interesting movie. Now, there's also, she was in Dune. She's the love interest in Dune, too. Well,
the original, right? 1984.
Yeah, the original, yeah. David Lynch's Dune.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's a Scorpio. Can we go back to her Wikipedia, please? And highlight her birthday. November 20th. 11/20. She's a Scorpio. Born 3 days before me. She is a Scorpio. So perfect for a very seductive, sexual, backstabbing, revengeful, obsessed with revenge. That's a huge Scorpio theme. The backstabber, the scorpion, right? Judas having an association with Scorpio. So, yeah, there you go. Let's go back to the movie, please. Her name's Mary Sean Young. Sean Mary Young, one of those two. Did you know that she's now a conspiracy theorist and gives interviews about conspiracy theories?
Really?
Yeah, she's pretty based. She goes deep on them. Let's just say she calls it. Let's just say she goes pretty hard on the Jezillions.
Huh.
Yeah, we're gonna listen to it later.
I know that. I didn't even know who she was until this movie. Till right now.
Yeah. Well, okay, so she's interesting. We'll get back to her. But now we're at a concert. Cannibal Corpse or Cannibal Core? I forget how they say it. Cannibal Corpse, yeah. A Cannibal Corpse concert. And apparently Jim Carrey specifically chose Cannibal Corpse to be in the movie. He really, really wanted them in the movie. And they are like a local Florida band. They're a Tampa band. And this movie is largely filmed across Florida, not just Miami. So I don't know if it was a local thing or if Jim Carrey just really liked them. But they made a whole scene just for the band to be in the movie. But Jim Carrey's at this show and he goes downstairs to go meet like his hacker friend. Cannibal Corpse, also, it's worth mentioning, CC 33.
Illuminati confirmed.
Maybe something, maybe nothing. Oh, yeah, good point. Good comment. Cannibal Corpse, CC. Courtney Cox, CC.
Mm-hmm.
Something to that. Now, this guy's saving the whales. Okay, he scrambles, he like hacks the GPS of this whaling fleet and like screws up this whaling fleet. So he's like a vegan or PETA like hippie guy, right? He's like a whale wars guy. But he's a hacker, and then his nickname's Woodstock. But he helps him find out some information, and then they go looking for this billionaire. And apparently he's one of the owners of the Miami Dolphins, according to the movie. Don't know that for sure. But
he funds the stadium and the land. He gave the land and the funding, I believe, for the stadium in the movie.
Okay.
That was his role. And then he's doing like a weird Bohemian Grove type party at his mansion, which I thought was the Codizal, but it wasn't that. It was the other one that you, I'm sure, have done a video on it.
Yeah. Well, you carry on for a couple minutes. I'm going to go get a water across the street. Thanks.
So he pulls up to this party, which I thought it was the Codizan because in the background there's a boat kind of sort of looking thing, but this is actually the, let me find here the place that it's called. I'm sure Dr. Narco, I've done a video on that long ago, has a video on it. I'm sure he's brought this place up before, but it's the Villa Vizcaya, which is in South Miami Avenue. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe there is a spring there. But this particular place stood out to me because obviously, I mean, look at it. It's got this boat here on the front. Got weird mazes and stuff and whatnot here. It's got stories, the history. I'm sure Longo will talk about it when he comes here, but he pulls up to the party and they're trying to locate the missing Amber Stone. And he's just doing weird stuff throughout the whole movie. And it's interesting, right? The fact this movie is one of the most, in my opinion, probably quotable movies of all time. Like at some point in time, you've quoted this movie, like a lot of other movies, but in particular, right, we're talking about all this word magic and the casting and the crew and Jim Carrey and all these actors and everything, where they move culture. Well, they influence culture 100%. So where you're quoting these movies. And even in this movie's from 1994. In 2025, we're still talking about it. Because it has that much influence. So again, he's doing all this weird shit. He's kind of how somebody mentioned earlier, he's very smart, but he just comes off as like a weirdo. Right. And he does solve some of the cases, right? He draws all the lines, connects all the dots. So he's at this mansion, this weird party, some eyes wide shut type of thing. And then he's looking for he thought he found the dolphin, but he didn't. Turns out to be a shark. But this guy that is hosting the party has all this equipment to house, or what would be able to house, a dolphin. So this is the scene where he falls into the tank, comes out, notices it's a shark, keeps going, and then he grabs his ring to try and look at it. And there's like this struggle, But yeah, see, I thought it was the Katazan because of this thing back here, but I
Yeah.
got them mixed up.
Yeah, they're at Vizcaya, which is the John Deering estate, or James Deering, I forget. James.
Isn't there a spring at this place, bro? What's the
Yeah.
history?
Yeah, they actually show it a couple scenes later or earlier, where it's right on the water, so it's like right up to the salt water, right up on the coast, kind of.
Yeah, it looks wild.
But they have a pool there that's tapped into the aquifer, and it's crystal clear, cold water that they pump in from the bottom, from underneath. And they show that in the movie. He like gets up on the wall and like shimmies across to it. Yeah, Vizcaya is pretty cool. It's big place. It's like Florida's Vanderbilt. Or sorry, it's like Florida's Biltmore.
Whoa, look at that place, dude.
It's like Florida's Biltmore.
You can't tell me some esoteric occult parties haven't happened there.
It's awesome, dude. It's really nice there. Well, all right. Let's back to the movie. Basically, he's at the Vizcaya. That's like the backyard of the Vizcaya, pretty much. But he's at the wrong place. He's got the wrong guy. So he realizes he had a shark, not a dolphin. He's not missing a stone in his ring. But now he knows for sure that it's a Dolphins AFC championship ring.
I thought he said KFC at first when he said that. I was like, oh shit, bro.
KFC championship.
That would have been crazy, bro.
That's pretty funny. No, but sports teams being known as franchises, and franchise, the word apparently goes back to a French word.
Oh, look who visited, bro, in 1991. The Lizard Queen herself.
I'm sure she did.
All right, so he finds out it's not him because the guy's got all this equipment.
Franchise means like freedom, like to be granted freedom from slavery. Franchise. Yeah.
So you're tied to the master, so it's like an illusion because when you have a franchise, you have to do everything that they tell you to do. It's still yours, but you have to follow the rules, right? The branding and everything.
Yeah. Now, he is closer to the truth now. He knows more about the ring. But let's keep going. The ring is pentagonal. It's got 5 points to it, almost like a pentagram, but more like a pentagon.
Right there.
Now what does he realize? It's amber. The stone, or he finally says it out loud. The stone that he's obsessing over it's a special cut orange amber. Now, what's so special about amber? Amber and dolphins. Amber on its own could be Jurassic Park. Could be, it could have nothing to do with anything. Amber with dolphins. Now we're talking Atlantis. That's Atlantis. Those are 2 core components to the common Atlantis myth. I don't know if there's any material more associated with Atlantis than amber.
Really?
Yep, look this up here. I've got it
because
pulled up.
We've talked about the dolphin connection with Atlantis where some people say that dolphins were Atlanteans at one point. You've heard that before, right? We talked about this on the channel, no?
Yeah. Yeah, we had amber. Amber was known to the ancient Greeks as electron, and ancient myth has it that it was first created when Phaeton drove across the heavens. In Germanic languages, it is called Bernstein, meaning stone that burns, or stones that burn. Since ancient times, it was brought from northern Europe to the Mediterranean. Jürgen Spenuth was convinced that amber was in fact the orichalcum that Plato claimed to have. I don't know how to say that. Orichalcum.
Orichalcum, yeah, that's how I've heard it.
Orichalcum that Plato claimed to have adorned the walls of Atlantis. Spenuth's theory is based on the fact that amber was mined in large quantities in the Baltic region as well as I don't know if the grammar is good on this, Eiderstedt, opposite Heligoland, where he was convinced that Atlantis had been located.
Legoland, yeah.
In ancient times, amber was second only to gold in value. Although Spenuth's location theory is carefully argued and was initially well received, it has recently
received diminishing. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I got lost. Where was I?
Up one sentence up. It has received diminishing support in recent years.
Yeah, thank you. It has received diminishing support in recent years. My initial reaction to the idea of amber as orichalcum was one of incredulity, but this was somewhat assuaged when I read the following comments in Helen O'Cleary's book. Quote, "It was well known to the ancients that amber could be liquefied by heat, and that by adding oil was possible to use it as a paint. Spenuth also noted this use of liquid amber." Ellis Peterson notes that an Egyptian tomb inscription reads that around 1500 BC, the Hanebu, claimed by him to be the North Sea peoples, sent a gift of 8,943 pounds of amber. That's a lot of amber. Amber is pretty light.
That's a lot.
To Thutmoses III. There were a number of amber trade routes between the Baltic and the Mediterranean, dating as far back as the middle of the 4th millennium BC, indicated by beads found in pharaonic tombs. Traffic was apparently two-way, as Egyptian beads from 3,400 years ago have been discovered in Denmark and thought, quote, to be from the workshop that made the blue beads buried with the famous boy king, Tutankhamun. Amber is not exclusive to the Baltic and can be found in the Americas, Lebanon, Siberia, Australia, and Japan. However, 90% of amber comes from the Russian Baltic enclave of Kaliningrad. A highly prized blue-tinted amber is found in the Dominican Republic. Yeah, interesting. While Baltic stocks of amber have diminished, it was reported that in 1966, Dominican miners in less than ideal conditions extracted 4,000 pounds of amber every month. Today, Myanmar, or Burma, is the leading source of amber, where in even more appalling conditions, 10 tons of it are recovered every year. However, a 2006 article suggests that Poland alone has amber deposits of 650,000 tons. So, blah, blah, blah. Frank Joseph, in an effort to support his speculations regarding the mythical Electra claims that the Atlantic islands of the Azores. I'm not going to read all this, but you guys get it.
But wouldn't that, if Atlantis is Florida, wouldn't we find amber in Florida somewhere? If it lined the walls, you know what I'm saying?
Well, amber is really just petrified, like ancient tree sap. It's like sap, resin. Now, you can find that in Florida. Now, as far as like gem quality amber, yeah, I don't know if we find that in Florida. But the Dominican Republic, we have blue amber.
You have the amber alert too, which is interesting.
Let me look this up. I wonder if blue amber is Larimar. I don't know if it is.
So it is like Jurassic Park then, right? Where they find the fly or whatever it is inside the amber.
Yes. Blue amber is a rare variety of amber resin that exhibits a blue coloration. Blue amber has been most commonly found in the Dominican Republic, not very far from Florida, not far from Puerto Rico either, especially in the amber mines around the city of Santiago, and less commonly in the eastern half of the country. In the modern age, it was discovered at about the same time as Dominican amber. Look at that.
But check this out, bro. While true amber fossilized resin is more commonly found in regions like the Baltic Sea and Myanmar, Florida has its own version of amber known as copal. Copal is a less mature resin that forms more quickly than true amber and is often found along the rivers and in logging areas. So, Florida has its own version called a copal, and it's found particularly along the St. Marks River in North Florida. Huh. Interesting spot.
Yeah.
North Florida.
Got a couple comments or super chats here. $4.99 from Virtual Reality Witness. Florida man is hilarious. Quote, it was more than a reach. It was a reach around. Yeah, that's got to be an Old World Florida merch quote. Vehicular Alchemy with the $4.99. Like a glove.
Yeah.
Hope all is well, fellas. Come on, y'all. Tip these guys, you freeloaders. Yeah, for real. No broke boys allowed.
So, you said Dominican Republic, bro?
Yeah.
This makes me think of like why Haiti is the way it is. Because I've been told before that the reason that Haiti stays poor is because there are large amounts of precious stone, right? And if that the Haitian people were able to extract that precious stone, they would become one of the richest countries in the world. And that's why it's being suppressed. That's what a Haitian guy whose dad was in politics in Haiti told me one time. That was the conspiracy. And that's why all these things happen in Haiti, right? Earthquakes. You had the Clintons in there at one time making billions of dollars off of the tragedy that happened there. Have you seen that documentary, Clinton Cash?
I don't think so.
Yeah, check it out, bro. It's wild. So it's making me think, right? Dominican Republic's not that far from Haiti. I mean, it's literally right there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What's to say that they don't have some of this amber or precious stone or whatever it is? Even oil, maybe.
Also, what's Laramar? Laramar is also considered the Atlantis stone, nicknamed the Atlantis stone and the Dolphin stone.
Really?
And that only comes from the Dominican Republic. Only the Dominican Republic. It looks like turquoise kind of, but it's lighter and bluer. But yeah.
Go up real quick. Keep going. Oh, never mind. So Father Miguel Domingo Fuertes Loren. I thought it said Bahama there for a second. Because that would connect it to the Bahamas, right? The Bimini Road and Atlantis and all this stuff. To solidify Florida being the Garden of Eden or the headquarters of Atlantis.
Yeah, we got amber. We got copal, whatever you call it.
We have the amber alert too.
We got copium in Florida. Copal. We don't do copium here. We do copal. Okay.
Amber is just tree poop. Somebody said.
So here, $9.99 tip from Hey, I'm going to play some games. Amber is the color of your energy. 311. If you know, you know. Yeah. So this is the second corroborating reference to the band 311. So you have 311, the number on the motel room, and then you have amber being a central theme in the movie, kind of. Amber 311. Amber 311. I don't know what to do with that connection, but it's there.
So Cannibal Corpse's beer is called Amber Smashed Face.
Really?
Yeah. And this is from 2021. Cannibal Corpse brew aggressively hopped beer.
Whoa. The song that they play in the movie is Hammer Smashed Face.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So they have a beer called Amber Smashed Face. And then the whole movie's about the amber, right? Finding the owner of the amber. So it's all coming together, bro.
Well, let's keep going through it. Keep going through the movie. He's checking all these ex-players' rings to see if they're missing a stone. Now, on my channel, I've talked a lot about Florida being Atlantis. Dolphins being another piece to that puzzle. But this movie revolves around dolphins and amber. Undeniably, some type of reference to Atlantis. Indirect, direct, whatever. But there's something to this because... Oh, I should have said this. The boss right here, okay? Ace Ventura's boss. The name that they're using is Einhorn. Do you know what Einhorn means in German, Juan?
No. What does it mean?
See if you can piece it together. See if you can... Ein means what in German? Ein.
Okay, but I know. Dude.
One.
Uh-huh.
What does horn mean in German? Horn. One horn. Einhorn means unicorn.
Oh, God.
In German. You mean to tell me that the trans boss, police captain, whose name is Einhorn, means unicorn? And that she's packing a package downstairs, poking out the... This sounds gross, but poking out the backside of her panties. That's some unicorn shit, okay? There's a unicorn theme going on too here. So, Einhorn means unicorn. And it's also a Ashkenazi name. It is German, but as a last name, it's especially a Ashkenazi last name. It's not the only Ashkenazi last name. But, so yeah, Jim Carrey, he solves the crime. She's actually the one responsible. She's trying to hide it. He doesn't know that much yet, but he knows it's not a sushi side. He knows it's a murder. So, Einhorn, the unicorn with the one horn, right? Unicorn represents a lot to many cultures, but the primary meaning is the male genitalia. And kind of the shutting off of the sexual impulse so that that same energy rises up the spine and comes out your forehead. That's the unicorn symbolism.
You know what's interesting? That the unicorn in art is depicted as Jesus.
Yep.
A miraculous animal whose single horn represents the oneness of God and who can only be tamed by a virgin, just as Jesus was born through the Virgin Mary. So you have a lot of these depictions of the Virgin Mary with a unicorn. And I've seen sexual interpretations of that as well. But again, in this movie, it's obviously... Does it go that far, though, dude? Like, do you think that that's what they were talking about?
Yep. Unicorn is also often depicted in the Garden of Eden alongside Adam and Eve. And also, the Garden of Eden, right? Other references to the Garden of Eden in this movie. But also Adam and Jim Carrey kind of being Adam, kind of being like a Jesus Adam, new Adam type character maybe. But he's an Adam of sorts. Well, what does a tranny named Unicorn have to do with Adam? Adam Cadmon.
Mm-hmm.
The multi-gender version of Adam in
Androgynous, yeah.
Jewish mysticism and the Kabbalah. Yeah, that's definitely a theme coming up in this movie too. Einhorn, not only does does unicorn mean have something to do with the male genitalia, a lot to do with the male genitalia. It's also has the word eunuch in it. And what is a transgender person if not a modern version of a eunuch, or vice versa? A eunuch is an ancient version of a transgender person. You know, there's certain details, certain distinctions, but roughly speaking, a eunuch is a transgender of sorts. You know, they're in the same kind of vein, right? Those two concepts. So
you know what's interesting though, dude, that we've talked about the Temuco and everything and how they're what do they call the third gender?
The tum tum. Well, in outside of the Garden of Eden, in more of like Moses' days, like Exodus, Leviticus, and onward, the Jewish concept of a tum tum, a tum, who would be kind of like a eunuch that would be part of the community, that had roles in the community.
Mm-hmm. Powerful roles, right?
Yeah, ceremonial priests. But that's an Israelite thing, or a bled into the Israelite culture from the cultures around it, maybe. But everyone go look up tum tum if they want to see what I'm talking about. I'm not an expert on tum tums, but go look up tum tum if you want to see what I mean. Juan, yeah, search it up.
So tum tum is a childish, informal word for the stomach or tummy. It can also be used to describe a rumbling or gurgling sound of the stomach.
No. Juan,
in some contexts, tum tum can refer to a specific snack, a baby product designed for tummy time.
Why are you reading that?
Or even a song.
Skip. Search tum tum Jewish mysticism.
Judaism, the Talmudic gender concept for certain intersex people.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Pull it up on screen.
Well, it's interesting that it's also used for like children's names of your tummy,
Yeah, tum tum.
Yikes. So to play devil's advocate here, which we've covered devil's advocate too for those that haven't seen that episode, right?
Yep. Another good Florida movie.
This concept of this third gender, which we see in the Temuco, where they had, I forgot the name of the third gender, but anyways, you get what I'm saying. They had a specific role. There were the ones that could interact with life and death. They were one of the only ones that could interact with the corpses of certain people, because the Temuco had a very dualistic view of the world. They believed that anything death and dark was, you could get infected and bring it to the other side. So therefore, this third gender would straddle both ends to where they could go into the darkness, into the death, prepare the bodies for burial and all these things. They would prepare the hunt, and they had called charnel houses, which is where they kept meat and everything. They were the ones that dealt with all that. But they could also they also tended to the women when they were on their period, right, for the time of the month, because they saw that as bad. They saw that as tainted. But they could also interact with society on the other side of that, and be normal with them, and wouldn't bring any of that over. So my whole thing is having a third gender, because I've seen some, how do I say this, more liberal-minded people, right, when they talk about these multiple genders, being like, aren't angels androgynous? Isn't the spirit androgynous? And they kind of justify this ideology of having 79 genders or however many it is, because spirit is androgynous. It doesn't have a gender. You know what I'm saying?
They get drunk off it. They aren't sophisticated enough to digest these concepts, in theory. They can only materialize them and think of them as material concepts, right?
Gotcha.
To a materialist, all concepts need to be realized on the material plane. They don't have any concept of higher, ideas or entertaining concepts without committing to them in the material world, right? So for a lot of those people, they're getting drunk off of these concepts, right? They're not. And also, we shouldn't really be flirting around with ideas like that anyway. You know, that's why.
Because when you hear them talk about it, it's almost like it's a good thing, right? We're moving towards that of being androgynous, and
you
then
know,
that kind of opens up.
Angels are androgynous because number one, they're supposed to be relatable to both man and woman, but also they don't have sex. They don't reproduce through sexual reproduction.
Oh, the Watchers did. They had the nipple.
So they don't need to have. Yeah, but
they was fucking, bro.
You're right. You're right. But to my knowledge, at least in the King James version, it doesn't use the word English there. It says sons of God, or, you know, daughters of men, sons of God. So maybe angels, maybe not. But like an archangel, these are kind of a little bit androgynous. But that stems from the fact that they don't have to have sex to reproduce. So they don't have a sexual distinction between the genders. Another thing is the concept of an angel is Aquarian by nature. It's associated with the sign of Aquarius, who is the most gender neutral sign of the zodiac. We're in the age of Aquarius, or stepping into the age of Aquarius. So you have a lot of gender neutral ideas floating around. And then there's also angels are angles, and Aquarius rules the ankles. Ankles, angels, angles, and ankles. Right? That's where English falls into this too a little bit. But let's move along in the movie a little bit. Let's try and fit the whole thing into one episode. I think we can do it.
All right, they do the do here. Again, she kind of falls for him because he's this is where they find out like there's a missing player that he didn't see. And this is where the whole Finkel thing or Stinkle, that's where the whole thing happens, and she tells him the story of him missing the field goal because the lace is out, Dan Marino, and then obviously they do the thing here. All the animals are watching, right?
Yeah, the animals are watching. Also earlier in the staged sushi side scene, the Einhorn, the dog witnessed the murder, and the dog is like ratting out Einhorn. And
I didn't catch that.
Jim Carrey is kind of picking up on what the dog is saying. And he says, "Oh, animals can sense evil." So kind of another callback to the Garden of Eden thing. Jim Carrey can talk to the animals at least a little bit. Now, we also find out that Ray Finkel was nicknamed the Mule. The Mule. Another reference to kind of the devil. And also Jesus a little bit. You know, Jesus came in on a donkey or a mule.
He's practicing some witchcraft here too with all the dolls and everything and the pins and
shrines.
Yeah.
Anti-shrine and the voodoo doll type thing. That's exactly right. But we find out that he was nicknamed the Mule. That makes me think of a couple things. Number one, donkeys and mules are ruled by Saturn, ruled by Satan.
Wow.
Also, it's where you get the mule for the Democrat or donkey for the Democrats. Republican, elephant, ruled by Jupiter, Jesus. Liberals, ruled by Satan, Saturn.
Satan himself.
Yeah, we get conservative from the word Cancer, from the zodiac sign Cancer, where Jupiter exalts, and we get liberal from the sign Libra, where Saturn exalts. So conservative and liberal, Cancer and Libra, Jupiter and Saturn. That's the good guy versus the bad guy. Oh, Coke versus Pepsi, blue versus red, it's all the same. Both sides are controlled. Okay, vote blue and see more R word, more crime, more immigration, bad immigration. See America get disrespected. Vote red. Oh yeah, there's still a little bit of corruption because people are people, you know. But less crime, less R wording, less illegal immigrants running around committing crime, more law and order, maybe a little bit more war, but at least America's tough and respected. Okay, so vote red till you're dead. Please, people, wake up. Stop thinking your IQ's like 300 by not voting. Just please stop thinking you're saving America by not voting.
I don't vote, dude.
Vote red till you're dead. You won't regret it. Okay? You're not fighting 5D chess here. You just want it's a very low level thing. You vote, you're done with it. Your kids are a little bit safer. Come on. Wake up. Be mature. Oh, I don't vote. Wow, Dr. Longo really thinks voting matters. Shut the fuck up, you fucking loser. Don't vote, and more women get R worded. Not that I'm like a big sympathy or, need to raise a flag over that. Vote red, kids are safer. Less human trafficking, less drugs in the streets. It's a no-brainer. Stop thinking you're so smart and you've somehow beat the system by opting out of it. Sure, a lot of it's charades. Sure, a lot of it's smoke and mirrors. A lot of it's a facade. But at least when you vote red, less crime. Less crime. Okay. That's my take.
All right, we got 11-11 here. 1-0-1. I think 11 is the number of magic too. I'm sure this is just a coincidence, but 101, the gateway, the portal. This is where they take. He finds out that they're going to take Dan Marino, and they kidnap him. Right? They take him. There's a chase. I love how he flips his car and then he just turns it back on. He just turns it back on. Yeah. Did you say you literally smoke mids? What are you talking about?
I don't know.
All right. So she tries to seduce him here a little bit, right? Or he tries to seduce him and ends up right, your gun is poking me in the stomach or something. Wasn't a gun. Because he sees that he's figured it out, right? So he tries to a desperate measure, if you will, is the part where it's like, hey, my your gun's poking me, dude. All right, so what else we got? Shady Acres. He goes into the mental institute and they find more. This is where Finkel was at. And they find, it's one of my favorite scenes. And they find his old stuff. He's got a notebook and everything in there. Again, more die stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're in an asylum, like one of these old Tartarian asylums, mental institutions. You know what? All these incels who think voting is so lame. Bro? Oh, I'm still on it. Yeah. We need to reopen all those Tartarian asylums and put all these fucking losers in the insane asylums.
I don't think they count our votes, bro. I mean,
okay.
That's why I don't vote. I'm not going to argue with it, but I'm not going to argue with you on this, but that's why I don't vote. Because think about it. If it really made
a difference. You don't vote because you're...
Because what?
Because you were born in America. You can't vote for shit.
I was born on a trash island, but that's why I don't vote. Now,
yeah,
they say locally it makes a difference. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Right? Like I can't tell you for sure if it does or doesn't make a difference. But that's personally why I don't. And I think that's why a lot of people don't, because they don't think it matters. Because you see a lot of news, right? Like the ballots went missing or they burned the ballots.
Your votes get counted, but they fucking cheat their ass off too. I mean, I'm not saying people don't cheat. Both sides have tried to cheat, but we need both sides. People just don't understand the human body. They don't understand polarity. They think they've cracked the code by blue and red. It's the same thing. Duh. What do you think you're fucking smart for saying blue and red are the same thing?
Yeah.
You actually think that's smart? You really
Yeah.
think you cracked the code and broke through the matrix? That's actually the definition of dumb and stupid and being in having no discretion, having no not being critical. You know, if you can't tell blue from red, you're an idiot. The issue is that both parties are too similar right now. They're not polar enough. That's the real issue. It's a uniparty. They're both being parasited by the same evil force. That's the only issue going on with our system. Two hemispheres. That's divine. That's sacred. That's mirroring the human body. We have two hemispheres of the brain. You think that's that's evil too?
Yeah.
You think the brain, the body doesn't count the votes from the the brain doesn't count the votes from the rest of the body? Whatever. Two halves serves a purpose. Okay. What does people like Plato say about anything where you have more than two parties or two prevailing, parties opposing views? Nothing ever gets done. It's always too much of a fraction, a third. If you need a third to get something done, with two sides, you need a majority to get something done. It's actually a majority, not the majority. Well, I forgot the distinction, but it's either a majority or not the majority, right? You want the real majority. Okay. Enough of that.
So here we see Finkel, right? The dog again. Backwards is God, right? The dog's kind of leading the way.
Yeah.
I was talking to the dogs earlier. The dog shows him that Ray Finkel looks a lot like Einhorn, and that's when he realizes, like, he shows his cheeks here.
Yeah, hang on. I gotta just hop on this. Okay, I'm just so embarrassed. I'm just so embarrassed.
What?
I'm sorry, people. Just look at how you guys parrot out the same stuff. Are you guys on the same Mossad bot programming? Is your little Mossad agent NPC bot just auto typing into your brain the same messages? Not to pick on you guys, but do you not feel like you're also like regurgitating another mainstream perspective that isn't really independent? Yeah, two wings of the same bird. Whoa, 500 IQ. And I don't mean to pick on you guys, but you're really just reinforcing what I'm saying. Really just reinforcing what I'm saying. Oh, our two hemispheres, two arms. We must be control too.
Two balls in one sack.
Yeah. Oh, must be all control op, psyop. Wow. Really cracked the code on that one. So insightful. Can't wait to learn more. So
here, let's finish up with the movie. We're almost at the end.
That's my take on that.
He finds Finkel is Einhorn, and then I forgot how the hell it is that he finds where they're at. But anyways, he was right about the whole thing the whole time, and Einhorn is Finkel doing it for revenge because of the laces out. A Marino held the ball wrong, and he was disgraced. And then they find out where he's at.
Now, just real quick, Juan, before we get too far away from it, that psychiatric facility, that Tartarian asylum that all these fucking retards should be thrown back into. Okay, worst thing that ever happened was letting those orphan trained kids go free. They should have been just flushed down the toilet in an insane asylum. Okay, there's too many Mossad bots just parroting whatever George Carlin told
Mossad
them.
homunculi running around, bro.
We got a bunch of diet George Carlinites running around. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, if we go back to that insane asylum scene, it's actually at the ancient Spanish monastery.
Right? Dude, I saw the monk in the background, but I wasn't sure
Yeah.
if it was if it was that. It kind of reminded me of that.
Let me pull it up.
Really? The one that was imported in and built
Yeah.
up, whatever?
Show them the scene where you see it out front.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now. Let me see here. There we go, right here. That well, you can't see it, but that thing right there. When I saw that, I thought about that monastery, but I didn't think it was there.
Go a little bit more backward or forward, where you see him right there. That's it. That's the Spanish.
Why would they pick this spot out of all places?
Because they wanted to keep it all in the same neighborhood. You know, they're in Miami.
True.
But yeah, they must have paid a lot.
Whoa.
Must have paid a lot. This is the ancient Spanish monastery.
The Templar one, right?
Yeah. Saint Bernard de Clairvaux Church. This is a monastery, or the cloisters of a monastery that is named after Saint Bernard de Clairvaux. Saint Bernard de Clairvaux is one of the founders of the Knights Templar. Come on, Juan.
Illuminati confirmed.
Thank you. Would you guys believe me if I told you that this scene in Ace Ventura was filmed in the oldest building in the Americas? Oldest standing building in the Americas. Over, what is it, 800 years old?
Yeah. That's wild.
This monastery was allegedly originally constructed near the border of Spain and France, which has changed, you know, here and there a little bit. But Spanish monastery built 800 years ago, like the 1100s, 12th century. So in the 1100s in Spain, built out of limestone blocks. Oh, just so happens there's limestone in Florida too. There's limestone all over the place, you know, to be fair. But what did they do with this? It stood there in Spain for like 800 years or whatever. And then one of the richest guys in the world, media mogul, William Randolph Hearst. William Randolph Hearst. He had it taken apart. He bought it. Number one, he bought it illegally. He bought the whole thing illegally and took it apart stone by stone and had it shipped on a boat to America, where it sat in a warehouse in New York for decades, 20 years, 30 years. William Randolph Hearst died before it could ever be pieced back together. And then in like the 50s, these two guys, gay guys, I don't know, probably put it together, and they bought it and put it together in South Florida. And the other part of that, another piece of like the same project, was put back together in the Bahamas.
Yes.
So, but this one's in South Florida. So, notwithstanding the fact that it's you know, that it was taken apart, put back together, allegedly.
Very Masonic of them, huh?
You know, with that, and you know, taking that into consideration, regardless of that, it is the oldest building in the Americas. Not originally from the Americas, but the oldest structure, the stones themselves, in the Americas, they say. Now, there's ruins all over the place, but I think their definition of building is 4 walls and a roof, right? That's their definition. So there's ruins all over the place that are older than that. But this is a building that you can still walk in and use and all that. Now, apparently they lost some stones and they had to put it together. They had to like freestyle it a little bit. So I don't know if that adds to the credibility or takes away from the credibility.
No, it takes away from the magic, bro. It needed to be the original.
Yeah.
You know.
Now that's the ancient Spanish monastery that they filmed this scene at. And again, maybe they're trying to say something. Maybe not. Maybe just a beautiful location, but it holds a great significance to the Templars. So much like the Freemasons make pilgrimages to go see the Coral Castle near Miami, Templars have been known to make trips to this monastery because of its association with Saint Bernard de Clairvaux. So, all right.
And here it is in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Huh.
Yeah.
What a weird movie to put it in. That's wild, dude.
You see it right there.
Yep. Same spot right here. That's crazy, bro.
But all right. So yeah, let's go back to the ending scene. Also, he's wearing a tutu the whole time, kind of foreshadowing the whole transgender reveal that happens. But Ace Ventura saves Dan Marino, rescues him, gets into a fight with Einhorn, and he reveals to everyone that Einhorn is Finkel, Ray Finkel, the kicker, who blames Dan Marino, wants to get revenge on Dan Marino, just like a Scorpio would. She's a Scorpio. But yeah, and, Jim's stating his case, but no one's believing him until Dan Marino, having that good eye that he has, what an eye on that guy. He spots a little surprise in the rear carriage in the undercarriage,
The worst case of hemorrhoids.
On Einhorn. We see the unicorn horn. We see the horn of unicorn making a appearance. The unicorn horn sticking out of her pants. She's doing one of those tucks. Come on, guys. When no, never mind.
No, you're the only one that what is a scary movie
Come on,
too?
guys.
Like any or outie.
Come on, guys. We all know we've done a little tuck here or there. We all know we've done a tuck once or twice.
It's been many years.
Just to see what it's like. Okay. We all know come on, guys. We've all gone months without getting a little action and things
Wait,
get
what?
a little. No, just. Yeah.
What are you getting at, bro? All right. Anyways,
Come on, Juan. We know you're tucking. We know you're tucking on.
I'm tucking right now, dude.
We know you're tucked in.
Yeah, I'm tucking right now. So they figure it out. Einhorn, Finkel, the dude, and then they go to the Super Bowl. They see he gets into a fight with the bird, right? The green bird, the green language. You got the Gatorade in there. And then, he's literally talking to a bird here. And they give him praise. And that's where it ends. I don't know if they win the Super Bowl or not. Probably. But that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, I've got a couple more points on that. Have you ever heard of Matthew Lacroix?
No, what's that?
Matthew Lacroix.
I mean, that's a pretty common name.
Is it? What are you hanging out a bunch of Canadian gay bars?
No. But are you talking about the guy that talks about the Anunnaki?
Yeah, the eagle and the serpent. Now, a little bit of a stretch here, maybe. But what do you see at the end of that movie? The Dolphins versus the Eagles.
Oh.
The eagle versus the sea monster. Not necessarily a serpent, but a sea monster, right? A sea creature.
What does
And
LaCroix have to do with this? Because he talks about the eagle and the serpent.
yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch, but Matthew LaCroix, however you say it. Well, if we want to,
That's how he says it.
Yeah, whatever. That's like maybe I'm wrong, but
you are.
Well, that's how he says it, but I know other people, other instances of LACROIX pronounced LaCroix, but
yeah, I'm familiar with his work.
Could be wrong, but yeah, I've never heard his name said out loud. I've just watched his.
I've actually emailed this guy, but he long time ago, probably 6 years ago now, but he wouldn't come on the show because my show wasn't big enough.
Damn. Did he say that?
Yeah, I have the emails to Brute.
Damn, bro. Salty.
It's okay.
Well, all right. So Matthew LaCroix has a bunch of videos. That was like his big thing for like a couple of years. That he has this whole series about the eagle and the serpent. How, Mexico has the eagle and the serpent. Many, many countries, they either side with the eagle or they side with the serpent or the dragon. Sea monster. Serpent, sea monster, dragon, fish god, any variation of those. And then the eagle can be the eagle or the phoenix or the, thunderbird. But in like Mexico, you see the eagle beating the serpent. Many other countries have the eagle clutching the serpent in its claws. Well, this is apparently a war between like two cultures or two ways of thinking, two religious movements, maybe. That one of them is traced back to the serpent, one of them is traced back to the eagle. And this goes back to, according to him, Enki and Enlil, right? The two brothers from Sumerian mythology. But yeah, not my thing. I don't know a bunch about it, but who knows? Maybe a stretch, maybe a not. At the end of Ace Ventura, we get the Eagles versus the Dolphins. And part of this is that, according to the story of Atlantis, shares some in common with that. The Atlanteans were kind of represented or symbolized by the dolphin, whereas Athens in Greece and the newer like Aryan empires that are more recent than Atlantis, they're symbolized by the eagle. So Athens and in Rome, Greece, Rome, the Germanic empires too, symbolized by the eagle, whereas these other powers are symbolized by the serpent. Okay. That's really it. And apparently the serpent cultures are more cool with drug use and like orgies and like pagan rites and stuff like that. They're more out in the open with it. Whereas the eagle culture is more warfare driven and they keep all the drug use and hanky-panky more behind the scenes. Whereas the Neptunian I say Neptunian, but the more sea monster serpent side, they kind of want to push drugs and certain sex concepts on people. So I don't know much about it, but that's
this dude's in the whole Billy Carson camp. He's got like a show and everything on his network. I don't know if he does anymore, but that's his whole thing. Ancient alien type shit.
Yeah. Well, that's how it ends, folks. Ace Ventura saves Dan Marino. They end up winning the Super Bowl, right? I think.
I don't know if they show the actual win, but
we're gonna find out. But also towards the end, Ace Ventura says one more thing that's interesting. He says, "Be careful with that phone. You could develop a tumor over time." So this was back in the 90s. Cell phones weren't that much of a thing. If you were rich, you had one of those, nice big cell phones. I could be wrong. Maybe it was more common, but not everyone had a cell phone in the 90s. And back then, people were actually more kind of skeptical or hesitant about the health effects, negative health effects, radiation, things like that. Today, people don't even bat an eye. It's like, okay, iOS 90 and 70G. Okay, yeah. Install it into my brain, put it behind my bed. Put the modem under my bed.
In my ass. Yeah.
Put it all that stuff. But so it's 5G. More. Okay, I wouldn't be worried about 5G, folks. Okay. The remedy to 5G is 5Gs. Okay.
Yikes. All right, bro.
All right, that's it.
You got it out of your system?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a good one. Another good breakdown. Never thought I'd be doing a breakdown of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Where does When Nature Calls, where does that one take place? Is that one Florida too or no?
Africa. Close enough.
Africa. Close enough.
Gondwana.
That's the one where he's anally birthed out of the rhino.
Yeah, that scene stuck with every kid.
Classic. But yeah, what are we gonna do next? I was watching a Nick Cage movie recently that actually starts out in Miami, but it has nothing to do with Florida. 8mm. Have you seen that movie before?
No.
It's about snuff films.
Oh.
Yeah, it gets dark real quick. But it starts off him flying into Miami. And I forgot what he does in Miami at the very beginning of the movie, but yeah, it's like a whole, right, that it's a conspiracy and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, interesting Nick Cage movie. Like all his movies are.
I got 2 good recommendations for our next episode.
What do you got?
Number 1, I got a couple tips here. Zelero Morales. Always forget how to say that. With the 1111 says great show. Thank you. Vehicular Alchemy with the 199. Mind Unveiled talked about the butt talkers. 2 cheeks.
Cheeked up.
Thanks. And then Braxton Hayes, the $5.
Don't get him fucking fired up again.
Says politics are a Venn diagram. Interesting, he said, with Venn with an M, like Venom diagram. Venn diagram. The middle is the uniparty. The uniparty is a club, and you ain't in it. Thanks for quoting George Carlin. I know he's doing that just to tick me off. But fuck George Carlin. Disinfo agent. Agent provocateur. But thank you, Braxton. Thanks for the support, everyone. Guys, go tune in to the One on One podcast, tjojp.com. If you haven't been there already, go there right now. Sign up, buy everything he's got.
No.
Sign up to everything he's got.
Unsubscribe.
www.tjojp.com. You're gay. There's only one cure, and it's on that website. Okay, that's the only.
If place. You're gay, that's the cure. Like is that how that works?
I said all of you, anyone listening, especially if you disagree with, my political views. Yeah, you definitely need some of that TJOJP on you, but. All right, what else? That's pretty much it. What was I going to say? There's 2 things about what?
You had 2 movies, 2 recommendations.
Okay, yeah. Number 1, they're both Disney. We're going to have Paranoid American on for that? Yeah. If we can fit him, is there enough room on screen?
So you guys can go off on each other again.
I'm gonna have to make our windows like tiny, and then his is gonna be like 4/5 of
People,
the
bro, people would
screen.
tune in to watch that. If we did a Disney movie and I got Paranoid American on with you again,
Yeah,
we'd have fucking 2,000 people tune in.
What's he gonna do? He's gonna tell us how he helped them make it.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
He's
If you worked there for 10 years.
He's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I made that scene. Oh yeah, I did that one.
I put the dick in that scene there in the castle. You see that?
Yeah.
So what are they? Two Disney? Oh, the alien one? Is that what you're gonna say?
So my friend Brandon said we have to do Flight of the Navigator. Flight of the Navigator. Look that one up real quick. And then I said another one.
The alien one. Yeah. The kid with the alien ship in Fort Lauderdale or something.
Yeah. So yeah, you know about that one. But then another one. Have you ever heard of John Rockerduck?
What the fuck?
John D. Rockerduck.
Rockerduck?
Yeah, you know what DuckTales is, right?
Yes.
He's a character in DuckTales. John D. Rockerduck, a Disney character. And guess what? Guess what he's associated with?
Oil?
The Fountain of Youth in the Florida Foreverglades.
No.
Yeah.
What?
John D. Rockerduck, who's brought to the Florida Foreverglades in the Disney verse.
But is this a show or a movie?
It's an episode of DuckTales.
The Forbidden Fountain of the Foreverglade. What? Season 3 episode.
Yeah. We'll dig into that. We'll do that one soon. It's only one episode, but
huh. This is recent though, 2020.
Yeah. The big hitting truths you don't want to miss, folks. You're not gonna want to miss this.
Oh, all right. Let's get the fuck out of here. This is fun. Catch you guys next week. Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars.
Yep. See you Thursday, folks. Peace.
Bye.
Wait, hang on. Talk for like one more. Talk for a second.
What are you trying to do? You trying to pull up the outro? Anyways, once we go, I'll catch you next week. Just call me throughout the week for what we're gonna do. But yeah, guys, make sure to put on your notifications. And we had almost 800 people, 750 something people in the chat. Pretty awesome turnout for fucking Ace Ventura, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure not to miss next week. I'm sure we're gonna have another wild ride. Right, these movies are making us go everywhere.
Show of Puerto Rico flags. A show of Puerto Rican flags in the chat.
Island with the trash bin.
Or the island palm tree emoji with the trash can next to it. Trash emoji. But show of Puerto Rican flags in the chat for some support for Juan. And then also show of oranges in the chat if you've ever gooned it to Einhorn. I know I'm not alone here, folks. Okay, you're not a real Floridian if
These confessions.
If you haven't gooned it to Einhorn. And I just to be sure, she is a woman. So she's playing a trans.
Oranges in the chat if
is
you
a real
typed it
woman.
for Einhorn.
So it's safe to goon, folks. Safe to goon. On that note, have a good night.
Later.
Yep. Wild Indian, yeah.
Hey V, line them up.
I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Ain't really Indian, that boy fugazi. I just keep it player, you can never play me. You got an ass so fat, girl, let's make a baby. And another one. Then I'm back to the trap, I'm trying double song. She a bad woke chick and I love her tongue. We some jurisdiction boys, we some one-on-ones. Look, don't compare me to no Martin dog, I'm like Malcolm X. Die about our freedom, we'll leave a crack that's what's next. Open up the cans just like Arizona. Pull up masked up like we got the Rona. We set up jurisdictions when we bought a corner. How you claiming that's your hood and you not the owner? Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Like my niggas said, bitch, we the shit. I can't keep the peace. If it pop off, then I want a piece. I'm just on release. I'm in go mode, motherfuck the thief. In these streets like EBT, when we at war, make peace with me. I don't give a damn, understand. Fuck who stole this land, white or black or tan. Understand, it's fuck who stole this land. Might have seen me get little buddy these hands. He wasn't no abo man. Now these dudes is Sambo man. They full of shit like my ammo can. What they call an N-word out the wrong mouth, that's an ambulance. Wild Indian, get it in advance, or you can post dated. Ask around, I'm the most hated. Straight sacred, they stole acreage. Go ape shit, show ain't shit. It won't be televised, I don't tape shit.
Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.